What's going on, y'all? It's the Kid J Nolan here for all my people out there balling on a budget, doing them Shein hauls. I don't know how much longer you're going to be able to pull this off because Shein is now under investigation for a federal Rico case. I know that sounds crazy because they don't move no drugs or anything like that. However, Shein is under fire for taking people's designs, taking people's actual artwork, plastering it on their own products, and selling it across the globe for cheap prices and not cutting them in. Let's get into all the details, see how this thing is going, and see where this may end up. So a lawsuit filed on Tuesday claims that Shein violates the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, better known as RICO. This latest legal action marks an escalation of the myriad of lawsuits that scores of brands and artists have filed against the Chinese fast fashion giant for trademark infringement in recent years. In the 52-page complaint, plaintiffs Krista Perry of Worcester, Massachusetts, Jade Barron and Larissa Martinez of Los Angeles, they're represented by the attorneys Jeffrey Gluck and David Erickson, claiming Shein has infringed upon their trademarks in the first 5 counts of the suit filed in the U.S. District Court. Martinez is the CEO and owner of a company called Miracle Eye that designs and produces custom made-to-order clothing. Usually used by prosecutors as a means of freezing assets of organized crime syndicates, RICO statutes can also apply to civil complaints. In the lawsuit, they state, it is well established that egregious copyright infringement constitutes racketeering. Back in 2005, the amendment to the federal RICO law applies in cases of criminal infringement of a copyright, which contains willful infringement for the purposes of commercial advantage or private financial gain. I don't know, man. It looked like Shein definitely falls under this category. Another requirement for a RICO claim is that the offending party is not just an individual or business, but a criminal organization, which describes Shein's behavior according to their lawsuit. They say this misconduct is not committed by a single entity or a person, but by a de facto association of entities. And just as intended by Congress, the same decentralization that facilitates Shein's criminal infringement and other racketeering activity, this renders individual components of the enterprise. The complaint calls into question how exactly Shein decides which products to copy. Although its details and precise methods are secrets, it's impossible to infer certain facts about Shein's algorithm by looking at its results. Without investigation, it's impossible to say how the Shein algorithm produces its results, how a design for a blanket or overalls finds its way from a designer's modest website to being cut and sewn in a sweatshop in Guangzhou. Plaintiffs have often won settlements from Shein, including Jacksonville, Florida artist Maggie Stevenson, whose $100 million lawsuit accused Shein of stealing her One is Good, More is Better art piece for their clothing line. Stevenson settled with Shein for an undisclosed sum on May 10th. Jen Stark, who's represented by Gluck, has an outstanding lawsuit pending against them, which was filed in August of last year. Another case against Shein was filed in November on behalf of Cookies, which is a cannabis-inspired apparel business. This was thought to be a game changer because it argued not only trademark infringement, but also counterfeiting. They say counterfeiting, if proven, would have rendered 3 times the monetary judgment. So if they can get found guilty of counterfeit, they're going to have to multiply whatever the settlement is 3 times. A civil RICO verdict would also provide a higher judgment. The word criminal appears 23 times in Tuesday's lawsuit, each time used to accuse Shein of being a criminal operation, including lines that read, defendants recognize the liability exposure for their obvious counterfeiting and willful and criminal infringing activities, intentionally and criminally infringing plaintiffs and others' copyrights for massive financial gain, a systematic and continuous pattern of criminal copyright infringement. So these terms are being thrown around very commonly throughout this lawsuit. The plaintiffs are seeking past and future damages multiplied by 3. Legal fees and injunctive relief to prevent further racketeering activity. So in basic terms, after breaking all of this down, what you need to know is that there's designers, creators online. They're putting their work up for people to buy prints. They're putting their work up of their own clothing that they're creating. And people at Shein, I don't know who their design team is or who their algorithm is hiring or who's programming it, but their designs from these small businesses' websites are mysteriously ending up on Shein clothing, right? Because we don't actually know who's making the clothes. We see all these clothes on there. A lot of it looks like stuff that you would get from other websites. you know, but the prices are marked down 50, 60, 70% compared to where else you could probably get it from. The materials are different. Some of the materials are a lot cheaper. They fall apart a lot faster. That's the kind of trade-off that you're getting from buying from Shein, but you also don't know who put this together. Who's putting the logos on there? Who's putting those prints on there? Where are they coming from? Who's actually creating it? And we have people online that are saying, hey, they're taking my shit directly from me. They're not reaching out to me. They're not trying to do collaborations. They're not trying to do partnerships. They're just ripping off my shit, putting it on clothes and selling it. I get no cut. What the fuck is up? Now, again, we all don't have massive budgets to be out here spending money on clothing. Shein definitely became a big thing over the course of the last 4 years or so, especially for folks that are trying to buy decent clothes on a budget. I'm sure some people will side with that just because you don't want to discontinue ordering. However, you should want to make ethical decisions, right? You can like what they provide without liking what they have to do in order to get it. And I think you should side with those people. If it costs you $5 extra to get something from Target or Old Navy or Fashion Nova or wherever you got to go, ASOS, etc., do that. At least you can see where this stuff is coming from. They'll have official brands, official designers, and you won't be aiding and abetting the actual copyright infringement and literal stealing from people just like you and me. I think at some point we have to make it so that that decision is the best one to make and we're all comfortable with it. Let me know what y'all think of this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell for all updates. And we'll see if Temu is up next for some of the same shit. Peace, y'all.